sir? Excuse me? Sir? Sir? Hi, up here. Hey, have you seen a man in a black coat around here? Hey, excuse me?
Yes.
Have you guys seen a man in a black coat around here? Looking for a man in a black coat.
What black? What?
I just need to find him.
Got a black coat?
He had black coat, long hair.
I was sort of
Jeez, man, nobody's seen him? Hey, have you seen a man in a black coat around here?
I haven't, I'm sorry. You check the other side?
Yeah. Dude with Shinra. Excuse me. Do you know where Sephiroth went?
Sorry?
Do you happen to know where Sephiroth is?
What?
Sephiroth? Oh! Thank you. The guy said he was here. Hello. Hey, did you see a man in a black coat come through here? Did you see a man in a black coat come through here at all? You can get like a Butterfinger or something?
No.
Okay, thank you. That guy lied to me. I'm never gonna find him. It's alright, I'm gonna use this time wisely. I'm gonna talk about a game that's been a long time coming. What is there to say about Final Fantasy VII that hasn't been said a pachillion times by a pachillion different people? I was wondering, what could I add to this conversation? And I don't know. It's Final Fantasy VII, it's the best game ever. And here we are, but we gotta dig into it, into the nitty gritty. What's wrong with it? What could be done better? What about the remake? Okay, I have a confession to make. There's one game in this franchise that I have played before starting this show, and that is Final Fantasy VII Remake. I played it when it came out last year, and I really loved it. I'm not gonna go into the remake, I'm just putting that out there. Technically, my first experience in the story was that, and that did affect how I played this a little bit. Not that the remake really spoiled a whole lot for me, as it only covers that whole Midgar section, which took me about 6 hours in this to catch up to where the remake ends. But like, even without the remake, there's so many prevalent spoilers on the internet and in gaming culture in general. Everybody kind of knows what happened. The main big spoiler that happens in this game that everybody knows is like on the level of Luke, I am your father for movies. It's just, everybody kind of knows. But other than that spoiler and what's covered in the remake, I kind of don't know anything about the story. So I was very interested to see what this is all about after so many years hearing about Final Fantasy VII, the best game. Fun fact, I'm filming this on October 1st, which apparently, as I was scrolling through Twitter, I found out today is the day Sephiroth does the thing at Nibelheim. The Nibelheim incident. The thing where everything kicks off and the story really starts going. That happened today. It's also the 10-year anniversary of the franchise, which is pretty cool. In under 200 days, we got through 10 years worth of games. How about that? And only 25 more to go. I want to start talking about immediately what this game did so much better than 6. I had a lot of problems with 6. I really liked it, but something with the battle system, the way you had to manage everything, every battle, and the battles themselves I had some problems with, and the story points I had some problems with. There was like lows and highs, and I feel like 7 might have fixed just about everything that I talked about in 6. So Materia, you have the little Materia slots, these little crystal ball things you apply to your weapon and your armor, and you enhance yourself with new abilities and maybe special magic attacks. Basically Espers from 6, but better. Espers, you equip them, and there's a couple of abilities that you learn over time. Materia just is that ability, and you can give it to anybody, and they have that ability. You can level the Materia themselves up, which will make that ability better. A couple levels, and you get Bolt 3, or Firaga, or something. Actually, it's just Fire 3 in this, which is weird. There's special attachment materials, which can enhance the materia that's already enhancing you. Give it an all materia, and you can attack all the enemies in the field. Give it an elemental materia, it'll make your weapon a fire elemental or something like that. There's a lot of mixing and matching you can do, and you can do it without worrying about who's leveled up and what character can do what. Great. You can exchange materia at any time with any party member, even if they're not in your party. Boom! Immediately. So much better than 6. It's not the same for equipment though, so you missed that a little. That's alright. Another major thing. Characters not in your party still level up. That's incredible. I think it's at a lower rate, but like on average, Cloud's always in the party. He was only like 5 levels more than my average party member by the end of it. And I definitely picked favorites. So there were a couple weak ones in there, but it was all good because I didn't have to use those characters. That's another very big improvement. There's also very few spots in the game where you're forced to use specific guys. Once you kind of get a whole collection of characters, you can kind of use whatever you want. Every now and then they're going to be forced to give you something. When Aerith goes up to you and goes like, okay, you're definitely taking me on the quest. I won't take no for an answer. I'm definitely going with you. You're just like, oh, okay. But in 6, during the sections of the game where you knew you didn't have to equip specific members, you can do whoever you want. There's this problem in knowing that no story was going to happen when you did that. Because no characters could develop, because anybody could replace anybody. But in this, story is, there's jam-packed. Everything you do is going to have something with the story, regardless of who's in your party. And anybody who's in your party will have something to say that actually comes from them, from their personality. They're injected into the conversation a bit, which the 6th one didn't have, which really took me out of the story. There's no nameless text boxes. Everybody has something to say, and it's from themselves, and depending on who you take, they'll say different things, which is great. Regardless, most of the story that happens does just have to do with Cloud, and he's always in your party, so that is probably a key factor as to why that works much better in this one. And that's another thing, there's only 3 party members in this. That's a significant loss. When the average is 4, you've lost 25% of your strategy. Of course, the game is balanced towards 3 party members, but it's just weird. It's so much less to manage, it feels like. There's also less equipment slots. I think there's just a weapon, an armor, and an accessory, which doesn't affect anything other than like a special one trait that it has. So overall, the game is just a lot simpler. It wasn't too easy. I definitely struggled a bit, but that was worth noting. Like, I feel like there was less going on in the battles most of the time, except for bosses. When it came to normal encounters, I was just like, kill him, use your attack, normal attack, kill him. Speaking of making things easier, I did play this on the Switch. It's the enhanced port that's on everything else, I think. Very key factor here. It has a 3x speed option you can click on whenever you want, and the game just goes by 3 times as fast. Those sections where you're blowing through encounters that you're just gonna mash A at, the summon animations which take 5 years to do, walking across a giant one screen thing that takes forever, climbing which takes forever, all just triple speed it, boom, 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 we're done. There's a no encounter rate button you can turn on. It just stops encounters, you just don't encounter any enemies. If used wisely, that is incredible. When you're playing one of these games and you have to go left or right, and you go left, and it turns out, at the end you realize that's where you're supposed to go. That's like the story. Now you're thinking, what was in that right path though? But I have to go all the way back and then go down that path and then come back and then go on the left again just to see what was there. Is that worth it? Whatever loot's there, is that worth it in this game? Or this port? You can turn it off, run back, see what's in there. Is it worth it? Grab it, come back, turn encounters back on. Oh my god, I'm spoiled by that now. Every game that I'm going to play is going to be more annoying because I don't have that button. That should be in every RPG. I play games fairly slowly. It takes me much longer to beat games more than other people. I don't know. I like to stop and smell the roses and whenever I can and explore everything. But on howlongtobeat.com, it says this game is like 38 hours or something. And I got through it in 33. That's 5 hours worth of probably 3 times speeded through pointless waiting time. So that was, I don't know what to say about that. So it's all pretty good so far. Here are some problems, mainly with the battle system. But first, the little like matte painting thing where you traverse this 2D image, it looks cool. And I know why they did it, mostly because they couldn't handle 3D environments for everything. But man, it's pretty annoying to get around in this game sometimes. I can't tell you how many times I was just running around like, where do I go? Where do I go? What do I do? What do I do? Oh, this thing, this one little line is a thing that you can actually walk across if you go around here. Or this wall, this thing you thought was a wall is actually a door. There's nothing indicating that. You just have to look really close, I guess. You know in cartoons where there's the background image, but like one object there will be specifically drawn out, so you know like, okay, that means that character is probably going to pick that thing up and do something with it. There's nothing like that. Imagine if everything in the cartoon was the background and you're supposed to see that that character is going to pick up without knowing, even though it blends in perfectly with the background. That's what playing this game is like in the overworld, and it's pretty annoying. Even the way you control yourself, like it seems like the D-pad changes its mind on which way is what, depending on the screen. Up could mean like diagonal left or right, like straight right. And it's like, what is going on? I just keep dancing around and not knowing where I'm supposed to turn and where I'm supposed to go. Look, it's the first jump to 3D. I get it. We can't all be Mario 64. The 3D also struggles in battles themselves. In most other games, if you want to, choose a character, it's down the line. It's very easy to pick who you want to pick. In this game, the camera angles are constantly changing, so it's like flipping around and stuff. And if you want to like heal one of your characters and they're in the middle of an attack, they'll jump, and then pressing right will no longer give you them because they're over there attacking the enemy for like 2 seconds. So it'll actually flip around and like highlight the enemy, and you'll heal the enemy. What? Or, oh my god, the worst was when there's an angle where it shows your party like perfectly straight. So it's like Cloud's here, then Barrett, then Tifa. And I want to heal Cloud. So when I press left, the arrow doesn't even look like it moves because they're perfectly aligned with each other. So I just have to like hope that Cloud is the one highlighted there and not Barrett or something. Because it's a straight line in this way. It's hard to explain. I'm okay with just having one angle so I know exactly where to go. Also, don't change where the cursor goes if the character's moving. That's just annoying. I talked about Materia. Materia is cool. But I will say it does take away from the uniqueness of each character. The only difference between each character really is stats. They got different stats, but then there's their limit break. But limit breaks are also samey because like at the end of the day, a limit break is just like a bunch of damage. There's not many that do much different. You're just really going to be doing a bunch of damage. So the animation's different, but it's kind of the same effect. And stats don't really matter when you're just equipping materia. It doesn't really matter who's equipping the materia. They're going to have all those abilities and they're going to do it decently well. The game is not that hard to where the stats of your character are gonna play a significant role. It doesn't really matter who you pick for your party. And in terms of customizability, there's definitely a lot going on. But the materia themselves, it takes a long time. It takes like the whole game to level up the materia to mastery. You have to equip it like as soon as you get it and hope you get far enough to where it really starts getting good. And I was fine with that, but towards the end of the game, you start getting really crazy materia. Like this one lets you attack twice. This one lets you attach it and do an additional magic attack depending on what you do. If you attach this, you can steal with your attack. And you can create really crazy strategies. But that's all at the very end of the game. At that point, I've mastered a few materias and I'm using them. And I got my strategy. I'm about to fight the final boss. I'm not really going to equip that thing. I'm never going to level it up. Nor will I probably make use of its cool thing. I think 5 still holds the crown for really satisfying gameplay. That gave you everything at such a nice pace, and it built up in the end, and you can use everything in the end. In this, it's like, here's bonus stuff for post-game, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to do post-game. There's a couple of things that only show up on the 3rd disc. This game came in 3 discs. The third disc is really just like, at the end of the second one, we're gonna go to the final boss. Ready, everybody? Let's go! Insert disc 3. And disc 3 is basically just the final boss. And they added in all the post-game stuff on that disc. So certain things will only happen if you visit them while you're on the third disc. But at that point, I'm done. I'm going to the final boss. I did the side quests, I thought. I don't really want to go back to anywhere and explore a bunch. I already did it. So I missed out on some things, I guess. Whatever. I want to talk about characters, which are very, very key to this story. The most character in any character that's ever been in Final Fantasy. All these guys are great. None of them are brick walls. So let's go through some of them. Yuffie is optional? That blew my mind. Yuffie is a character you can randomly run into in the wild, and she's like a ninja who steals your stuff and you have to like convince her to join you. I don't know. I was under the impression she was like a main, super important character in this series, and I guess maybe she went on to be. But this first game, you can just miss her and not have her. I only knew her from Kingdom Hearts, and she's like, she's just a nice girl, another part of the team. Wow, is she misrepresented in that game. She's kind of a piece of shit. So like I said, she steals your stuff, and then she joins you, but there's like 2 other points in the game where she will screw you over completely and try to leave. Even at the end, she's like, I don't even know why I'm here. She's like a real asshole. And that's the weird thing in this game. These characters are deeply flawed in many ways. Some of them are handled still well. Some of them are annoying. I thought Yuffie was pretty annoying. There's one part of the game I was in the middle of doing something else, and I saw another area, and I was like, have I been here? I don't think I've been here. So I went down, and if you walk in that area, Yuffie just steals all of your materia. There's this whole hour-long side quest that you are now forced in. I mean, you can leave, but all your materia is gone. You want that back. You can't do whatever it is you were about to do. You gotta stop everything and find wherever Yuffie left. And I read online, like, if you do this accidentally too early, there's a whole, like, optional boss you have to fight to get your materia back. If you can't beat him, you don't get it back. And there have been people who restart their save because they can't continue this game without that materia. And it's like, yo, Yuffie, that's not cool. I stopped using her at that point. Like, I was done with Yuffie. I only used characters that I liked. Speaking of optional and characters that I liked, there's also Vincent, the second of 2 optional characters. Vincent, who I didn't know anything about. I never knew this guy. He was the only character I was not familiar with. He's like I don't want to spoil what he is, but he's a cool guy. He's got a gun. He's got a revolver. Not as cool as Barrett's gun, but still cool. He's also super good at magic. He was my endgame character. My final team was Cloud, Tifa, and Vincent. Honestly, I can't imagine this game without Yuffie and Vincent. If you miss them, it's like you're missing a whole chunk of the story. Then we got Cait Sith, and man, I don't like Cait Sith either. First off, you meet him in this golden saucer place, and he just kind of joins you. What are you guys doing? I'll come. And that's like it. There's such a cutscene where he's like, yeah, I'm gonna join you. I'm Cait Sith. Hello. And he's annoying. He's like a cat on a giant plush that is controllable. There's something up with him. The golden saucer is like a haven of minigames where you can buy in and get points and exchange the points for rare and cool stuff, and I love that in games. I usually have a lot of fun with that. But there's something up with the minigames in this one. There's just kind of too many, and none of them are very good. After a couple attempts in the golden saucer at like the arm wrestling or the ball shooting or the fighting game, they were just very annoying, and I never won them, and I didn't want to sit there and waste all my money, so I kind of never went back to the golden saucer. It frustrated me. There's chocobo racing, and you gotta like breed a chocobo to your liking. No thanks. Whenever a game wants you to like breed monsters and it's not Pokemon or something, I'm just so not gonna do that. I read online it takes hours and hours to get like a perfect chocobo, and you can get on them and ride them to other areas and you can get new stuff. I'm just like, that's cool. That's really cool, dude. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing the racing. I'm not doing the arm wrestling. It was not fun. Omni Slash, the best limit break for Cloud is tied to the golden saucer, and you need to do all the mini games. You need to get like 50,000 points or something. I'm like, I guess I'm not getting Omni Slash. That sucked. There's not only mini games in the golden saucer, they're riddled throughout the game, and I usually like that. I like variety. But most of these mini games are just like, hey, we're gonna do this thing. Here's all the new controls. Up does this, down, right, AB does this, but AB at the same time, and okay, go. And I'm like, what? And then you're just like snowboarding or something now, and you're bumping around and like, wait, is this the right button? And then it just takes forever. It's like 10 minutes to get down the mountain, and you're like, what was that? I didn't know there was like an entire tower defense game in this as well. It also takes a very long time. It's like a half hour every time you play this, and it's not really worth it because nothing really happens. You just wait. The enemies are so slow. I don't know why they're so slow. You can increase the speed in the game too, not just with ×3. But even then, they're pretty darn slow. There are a lot of points in this game where I'm like, oh my god, this is moving. Wait, I have ×3 on? And then I turn it off just to see, and I'm like, why is it moving this ridiculously slow? It's like, I had it rough back then, I guess. Back to characters. There's one important character that you meet along the way, and it's gonna give us a Sid update once again. Once again playable for the first time since Final Fantasy IV. He's an engineer again, surprise, surprise. This time he's trying to work on a rocket. It's like his lifelong dream to go to space. There's a whole backstory there. And I've heard about Sid. I heard he's like funny. He's like a crass guy. He's always cursing and whatever. I didn't know he was such a jerk. Sid is kind of a piece of garbage. He has like, it's not really his wife, I guess, but he's very close. Like, he doesn't want to get married. I don't remember what the deal was, but he has a girlfriend, essentially. And she does nothing but support him and help him achieve his dreams, and he is the worst person to her. He verbally abuses her the entire game. There's a point where she's like ready to die for him, and all he does is just, don't be such you. Sid, would you chill? For God's sakes. Like I said, these characters, they have flaws. Some of them are just not relatable. Yeah, not my favorite Sid. They give him this backstory at some point, and you're like, okay, well, so why is he such a jerk? And it's just like, that didn't give you an excuse to be this rude to people all the time, including me and your wife. Red 13? He's like I'm honestly not too sure what he is. You find him early. He's just, he's a talking dog. I never used him. He was never that significant to the story. I don't really feel either way towards him. He's cool. Aerith and Tifa, they're probably among the least flawed. They're just kind of good people trying to help out the world. Then you have Barrett. Barrett was great. Barrett, everybody in Avalanche, which is like your organization, the Rebels, keeping with the theme of being like a rebel posse trying to stop the big bad. But in Avalanche, you are like literal terrorists, and your actions have casualties. And Barrett's one of those characters who's like, he doesn't act like he's doing that. Like, yeah, I know, but like Shinra, we're doing this because Shinra and then the planet, and I'm not just holding a grudge or anything. Shinra's evil. We have to stop them. He's relatable in that sense because he's got this grudge that he won't let go, and he doesn't acknowledge the terrible things we're doing. And you're like, Barrett, but like, you gotta admit, like, I don't know. Shinra's evil for sure, but like, we're doing some bad stuff. And towards the end, he kind of had a change in heart. Barrett was the most relatable character in the game, I thought. I didn't really talk about any story beats yet. I'll get into that in a little bit. I'll make it a spoiler section because if you don't know any of the story in this game, you better play that right away. Because you're missing out on one of the quintessential gaming experiences. You gotta play FF7 at some point. Story is definitely the most important, most focused on part of this game. Not to say the gameplay is bad or anything, but like, they knew what they were doing. They were trying to create an epic story that was unlike anything we've seen in gaming. And I think they succeeded. When you get a game over, the game over screen is like a film canister with the reel coming out, and like it's burned off at the end. It's like, you didn't get to see the rest of our film. It says Square Enix on the canister, FF7. It's like, all right, guys, yeah. But anyway, spoiler time. It's time to get into it. I'm gonna discuss whatever I think I need to discuss. I don't know. I was so surprised. Like, immediately at the point where the remake ends is where you get the entire Cloud and Sephiroth backstory. I was like, dude, really? Now I'm thinking, like, remake part 2 is just gonna start with, like, hours of flashback cutscenes or something. What a weird way to start. Not talking about the remake. But yeah, like, they kind of lay it all out right then and there. And then the Nibelheim incident, that's where that comes from. But why is Cloud not remembering all this stuff? What's going on with Cloud? Who is Cloud? Cloud is a Shion? There was a point in the game where they're like, no, Cloud took on the memories of Tifa and the memories of this other random new character named Zack, who's actually the one who did all this stuff in Cloud's flashback. He thought he was him, he maintained the identity of Zack because he wanted to be him. And he used Tifa's memories. I'm not explaining this well. The point is, he's like a clone of memories also. I'm just trying to make the connection to Shion. But you later on find out that that wasn't like real. Like that was a fake explanation or something. There's like a twist upon a twist. They go deep. The story's a bit convoluted, but I got no problem with that. Aerith is a Cetra, or an ancient. She's like basically a god kind of creature. I don't want to call her a creature. Aerith, if you're wondering, was my date of choice for the Golden Saucer date. I knew what was coming. I don't care. I like Aerith. I'm an Aerith main. Enough said. But yeah, her death scene is really, it's earlier than I thought, and it's kind of out of nowhere. Like I said before, when she said, you have to take her on this new quest, I knew it might have been time, but still, it was like she leaves and then you're walking around and you're getting up to her, and it's just like, shoo, dead. You're like, what? A couple of guys just threw a soda can off of the garage. Yeah, man, it was still emotional. Like, I've seen the exact cutscene multiple times before. But the music just hits you, and I'm like, no, it's Aerith, she's dead. Oh. She doesn't really get mentioned for a while until like the end. She's like, wow, she's really gone. Luckily, Vincent is like very good at magic, so that's why I started using him. Yo, what is this guy doing? A couple of guys throwing stuff off of the... Is he filming himself? Sephiroth's up to his evil ways. So Sephiroth kills freaking Aerith. It's awful. I hated it. Kills a few other people. But also, I don't know, it just comes across that Tifa's supposed to be with Cloud, and it's like, why even bother giving the player a choice? They set this up like they're childhood friends, and they go to the end, and they believe in each other. I think Tifa and Cloud are the pairing, but I don't care. I still go for Aerith. Sorry. Speaking of the Golden Saucer date, that's when Kate Sith robs you as well. How many characters are gonna rob me? I have like this ancient key item that we're gonna bring, like tomorrow we're gonna go to the place and do the thing. And he just takes it and runs away in the middle of the night. I didn't want you in my party in the first place. They pull this thing like, haha, you trusted this character and they betrayed you. I didn't trust Kate Sith for a freaking second. He ran into my party out of nowhere and then was like, yeah, I'm part of the team. Swipe the thing, run away. And then you find out that Kate Sith is a robot cat who is being controlled by somebody in Shinra as a spy. Why'd you let the robot cat on your team, Cloud? Why'd you do that? And then like, oh, he has a change of heart and he starts joining the team for real and he sacrifices himself to save the day, except it doesn't really matter because he's a robot body. So immediately after that death happens and all this stuff is happening, and you meet Sephiroth for like the first time since he killed Aerith, and you're like having this confrontation. And then Cait Sith 2 just shows up out of like the corner, like, hey guys, I got the new body. All right, whenever you're ready to go, sorry, Cloud and Sephiroth. Oh, yeah, all right. And then he's part of your team for the rest of the game. Nothing changes about Cait Sith 2. He's the same character. It's just such a strange thing. And then you find out at the very end that the person controlling Cait Sith is Reeve from Shinra. I don't know who that is. Who's Reeve? I mean, he was a character, I like his name showed up a few times at some point. But there's like a bunch of guys in Shinra. He's not even a Turk. I like the Turks a lot. The Rude and Elena and what's the other guy's name? Especially when you see them in that one optional town and they're just like drunk on their time off and they're like, Cloud, whatever, don't even bother. They're kind of like a Team Rocket group of people, and I enjoyed them quite a bit. But I have no idea who Reeve is. I never had an emotional connection to Cait Sith. Screw him. But yeah, like I said, the story is very convoluted. All that weird stuff happening, the themes of identity and the twists, the constant twists and turns, and it reminded me of Kingdom Hearts quite a bit. I just want to put that out there. Nomura starts his stuff with this game. And I found it interesting. A lot of the big complaints about Remake were people saying, oh, he made it too Kingdom Heartsy. It's too Kingdom Heartsy now. Now? Did you play this game? Themes of identity. Who am I? Who are you? What are we? What does it matter? The fate of the world. Diving into somebody's mind. Messing with memory. A person dedicating their life to finding a paradise land that'll give them endless wonder. For God's sakes, a cult of people in black coats dedicating themselves to one guy. This is the demo for Kingdom Hearts. That's gonna offend a lot of people. I just find it so weird. There's so many people who hate Nomura now. Like, he's turned into such a hack. All his stories are so convoluted and messy and don't make any sense. I'm like, dude, when was the last time you played FF7? This is like the same, and I love it, by the way. I'm all here for it. But it's so weird that they like hate Nomura for the same reasons they loved them in the past. I'm a Nomura fan to the end, alright? I love this guy and I can't wait to play the rest of the series to see what else happens. I mean, the sheer amount of stuff that happens in this game is so much more than any other Final Fantasy by far. It took me like 33 hours, like I said, and every one of those hours is jam-packed with stuff happening. Stuff constantly changing in new areas and new story and side stories and whatever. There are even large stretches of time where you don't even get into a battle, like you're just exploring and seeing story and stuff. It's very interesting. It's such a difference. This game is a massive leap. Like I said, this is kind of the start of the Golden Age Part 2. The SNES Age, it was great for its own reasons, but now we're getting into like deep story stuff. And even though I don't really understand a ton of story that happened here, I still liked it, and I can't wait to see what 8 does and what the sequels to 7 do. There's a great moment where the meteor starts coming down, or it's just called Meteor, not the Meteor, it's Meteor. They do that a lot, like there's this weapon called Weapon. That's Nomura for you. But it gives like this Majora's Mask kind of thing, where it's constantly in the sky wherever you go, and you revisit towns, and the kid is saying like, my mom says I should enjoy these next few days. I don't know why. But that when the meteor starts coming, it's like, oh my god, stuff's getting real. Sephiroth is insane. He's like a crazy person. He just thinks we gotta kill the world because the world will be what everybody needs. It will be given back to the planet. But when this meteor shows up, it's like the beautiful overworld music. Da, 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 da. It's so nice. Sometimes I just want to sit there and listen to it. But that once the meteor comes, when you go to the overworld, it's like it just gets evil. It's like, oh my god, we gotta save the world, guys. It really reinvigorates you to get going, because I want to hear that music again. Here's a complaint I had about the story. There is a lot of stuff locked to optional side quests, or not even side quests, just like There's a key scene with Zack and Cloud, like the whole backstory to them. I happened to pond it while looking around online after this, and I was like, where is this? I didn't see this. You just have to go back to the mansion on disc 3. Disc 3 is just the final boss, and they added everything else. It's like, I already went to those places like 2 or 3 times, and now there's new cutscenes. Like, you can only get this if you go there while you're on disc 3. I'm not going to revisit every place. I don't know what else I missed out on, but I'm lucky I saw this cutscene online because it's a big deal. It's like where Zack dies. You didn't even know that Zack died in the story without this cutscene. Who knows what else I missed? I didn't research this game very much because I know there's sequels and I want to avoid spoiling those. So I'm in this weird zone of I don't really know much and I also can't find out. Sorry if I get any details wrong, because I know people are crazy about 7. Speaking of things I can't research, the ending was really abrupt. You kill Sephiroth. That fight was great, by the way. I died a few times, but I managed to do it in the end. Aerith is like embodied in this holy materia, and it's like that was just a normal spell in the old games, but in this game it's like the MacGuffin to save the world. Holy, you need that power. Aerith uses the holy like as or within the materia as a spirit. She sends it up, blows up the meteor, but it's like doesn't look like it works. And then the life stream, which is another thing I'm confused about what that is, and it takes apart the meteor a little bit, but it's not like it's still falling. And then it like looks at Cloud and Tifa and they're like, credits. And then the credits pass and there's a post-credit scene. 500 years later, you see Red 13 or a Red 13 like run around, and he goes up on the cliff and there is Midgar, completely overgrown in plants, devoid of life entirely. Aside from that, no humans. There's just like a wasteland behind them, and it looks broken apart and everything. It's like it's all gone. I mean, it's 500 years later, but did humanity end? What happened in the end? And again, I can't look it up because there's other FF7 games. If the ending is everybody dies, that's insane. And people are probably saying, no, Tom, you idiot. It's obviously supposed to mean that this happened. Fine, if that's what it is, that's what it is. But if everybody dies in the end, that's insane and I love it. Okay, God, I hope this video's not too long, but we're done with spoilers. Let's wrap this up, okay? I want to end on one question. Something I've been thinking about. Is it better to play the remake before the original? Controversial statement, I understand, but let me just say this. When that remake came out, everybody loved it. There are few negative comments. The only negative comments were from people who adored the original, played it to death, and have such nostalgia for it. I played that game, and I pretty much loved every single second. I play this game, there's some flaws. It's old, it's aged. And a lot of it I was thinking, the Midgar section was full of nostalgia for the remake, and then the rest of the game I just kept thinking, wow, how are they going to do this? How are they going to do that? This is interesting, this is exciting. I think I might have liked the remake more. Which is not even really fair to say because the remake's only a part of the story and it might go in different areas, I don't know. But most people who played the original like the original more than the remake, like for sure. And I like the remake more. I think I do. It's just interesting because everybody has this predicament now. Which one do you play first? Most people are going to tell you to play the original, but dude, I don't know. It's a question I've been asking, like, which one do you play? Because one, in a way, taints the experience of the other. You will be spoiled on story and key moments of even gameplay. You'll be seeing different things and you'll be missing what you had before. The grass is always greener on the other side, but which one's truly better? I don't think anybody is able to say. There's bias in whatever you play first. If for some reason, somehow, one of the 20 people who watch this video hasn't played either 7 or remake, you got a choice to make. You definitely should play one of them, and who knows what the rest of the remake will show. I'll say that. It might get bad on part 2 or 3 or whatever. But right now, I'm thinking about that FF7 remake. That said, we're not going to get into remake until I'm going to review that game separately later, like forever ago. But one final thing to say. My goal when I set out on this journey, in terms of a time frame, a deadline, I want to beat every Final Fantasy before Remake Part 2. That's my goal. Remake Part 2 will be the end. That's the goal. There you go. Now you know there's the time frame. Start your watches. It's only day, 195, so we're going along pretty well. Woo! Finally did FF7. Is that good? Is the camera overheating? Let me check.